Hi, my name is Janine, LG. I'm 15 years old and I live in North Carolina. And I just wanted to kind of give my reflection on what happened that day and what I think about 9/11. I was 5 years old when it happened. I was in the first grade, and my vividest memory of that day was my teacher. She was basically really distraught and just kind of freaking out in front of the class because her husband was actually in New York at the time, and she didn't know if he had gotten on his flight or not, if he was able to come home safely. And I think later we found out that he did make it home. But at the time she was just really freaking out, and she was like, oh, there was like some accident, but we didn't really know what she was talking about, because when you're 5, you don't really understand kind of things like terrorism, where we don't really understand that. And then when I got home, it was all over the news, and I remember kind of seeing the smoke coming out of the buildings, but not really understanding what was going on. And it was only, I guess, a couple of years later when I was able to finally start understanding that there was a plane that crashed into these buildings, and it wasn't an accident, that people actually took over the plane and crashed it into those buildings willingly. And it's been 10 years, but I don't think any of us have forgotten that day. I don't think we ever will forget it. It was hard to watch the footage earlier. I was watching it and I started crying, because even if I didn't know anybody that was in the buildings or anybody that was at Ground Zero at the time, I still felt the pain of losing them, because that's like 3,000 people just gone almost instantaneously. And it was truly I think the moment that defined my life. I'm sure a moment that defined many people's lives in America. And it sparked a war that has been going on basically my whole lifetime. And it was just so tragic, and yet I felt like in so many ways it strengthened our country and made us more united than we have ever been, I think. Because when you attack the World Trade Center, you must know that you're not just attacking New York City, you are attacking US, and you are also attacking the world, because the entire world, I hear, was just completely shocked at what happened, and they all sent their hearts out to those. And I just heard stories about how those firefighters and cops in New York, how they just ran up those buildings and went in probably knowing that they were not going to come back out, but thinking that we have to try to do something. We can't just let those people, and that's really why they're called New York's finest. It's this need to save lives, and just, it's simply amazing what human nature brings out in times of crisis, and how people bond and stick together. My mother actually told me that day she was at work. Like, I know a lot of people were at work or going to work at that time it happened. It was about 8:45, and she said she was working, and someone just rushed in, and like a lot of people, they said, there's something happened, there was some accident, like a plane just crashed into some skyscraper in New York. She didn't even know it was the World Trade Center yet. And so then they run in and they started looking up on the computers, and they found out, like, at first everybody thought it was just an accident, like an accidental, like a small little plane just happened to crash into the World Trade. And then it was only later, when a second plane came into the South Tower, that they realized that it was not an accident, that this was definitely something terrible going on. And then we have the Pentagon a little bit later, and then Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the plane goes down when the people were actually brave enough to fight for control, and even though they all died, they were at least able to prevent even more damage, which I think is just extremely brave of them. I don't think that the Pentagon and Shanksville get as much attention as the World Trade Center, but I think they should, because it was truly just incredibly tragic. I mean, 4 planes, so many people. And my mom said that just like a month or so after that, every morning as she would be driving into work, there'd be people on the radio talking about like just what had happened and like where they were and whatnot. And she said that she would just arrive at work every day with tears in her eyes because it was just so terrible and so traumatic, I think, for anybody who was not as young as me, older. And I hope that we never have to go through anything like that again. I don't think that something as bad as that is ever going to really happen again. I don't think we're ever going to let it happen again. And I mean, of course they're going to try, Al-Qaeda or whatnot is going to try again to break us down, but I don't think they're ever going to be successful like they were, because, you know, you catch us off guard once, you're not going to do it again. We're better protected now. Obviously, there's all that airplane security, but it's more than that. And you have to understand that 9/11, you can think about the 3,000 people that died, but you can also think about like the countless other people that also died in the wars, because technically that's all because of 9/11. So I also want to salute the soldiers that lost their lives fighting for our freedom, just so that we, all of us who live in America, can be safe. And I want to thank you very much for that, for what you do and continue to do. And I think that New York City, I think that New York City it's a very resilient place. It's a very strong city. The people there, they have a lot of pride for their city, and it's just like, it was a terrible time, but the aftermath, the rebuilding, was simply, it just showed you just how amazing New York City is, and how strong it is, and how it was able to dust itself up, get up on its feet, and continue to live, and to grow, and to still be one of the greatest cities in the world, probably. And, you know, I am proud to have visited there. I'm proud to be a part of this country. I'm glad to be a part of this country. And I just, I hope that we will never forget the people who lost their lives that day, and we will always remember you, and I hope that you are somewhere up in heaven in a special place. So